Hi, my name is Luke Johansson. I'm part of the RLS Design Group. We reviewed the FEMA Technical Bulletin for non-residential flooding and the requirements and certifications that are going to be needed by the National Flood Insurance Program in order to receive insurance for non-residential structures. The only flood zone that's eligible for flood proofing is Zone A. They will also need a NFIP certification approved prior to being allowed to flood-proof a building. There will be no floodproofing allowed in coastal high hazard areas, zones V, and also there's never any floodproofing approved for residential homes. Some floodproofing considerations when considering floodproofing a non-residential building would be the flood warning time, the amount of time it takes for the water to get to your location, and the amount of time that anybody that's in the building would have to get out. The building use is a storage building, or is it more of a manufacturing type facility or something like that? Where the building's entrances and exits are located, the floodwater velocities, how fast the water is going to be hitting the building, flood depths, how far up in the building would the floodwaters end up being possibly, the types of debris that may be hitting the building, so you know structurally what you have to deal with. Also the flood frequencies, is that a yearly flood, is it every so many years? Those kind of things would be beneficial. Some examples of floodproofing would be to anchor the building to keep it from floating during a flooding event. Some watertight enclosures for the doors and windows, reinforced walls for any kind of hydrostatic pressure on the outside of the building. Sealants for any kind of cracks that are in the foundation, interior pumps for any water that may end up inside the building, so you can pump that water out. Check valves on any kind of drains in the building to make sure water only goes out and won't come back in through those drains. And utilities located above the base flood elevation.
Hello, my name is Richard Gomez, and I will be discussing the planning, inspection, and maintenance programs that are required for the National Flood Insurance Program. History has shown that facilities with well-organized flood emergency operations plans have 70% less damage and resume operations sooner than those facilities that do not have a plan put in place. At minimum, the 5 items should be included in your plan. First, chain of command. Designate one person in command who has ultimate authority to implement the flood emergency operation plan and to direct resources appropriately. The second is notifications. Develop a notification procedure to all necessary parties to allow them to receive notifications of flood threats and flood warnings. A third is duties responsibility. List specific duties and assign them to ensure all responsibilities are addressed in a timely manner. The fourth is evacuation plan. Develop an evacuation plan. The evacuation plan should include muster points to ensure that everyone stays safe. Fifth, lastly, is the training and exercise programs. Regular training and exercise programs are required. At minimum, a training program should be held at least once per year and coordinated with your local authorities. Every floodproofing design requires periodic inspection and maintenance program. Inspection and maintenance activities and intervals and repairs should be included in your plan. At minimum, the 4 items should be included. Mechanical equipment such as sump pumps, generators, and utility equipment should be checked and verified that they are in working condition in the event of a flood. Flood shield and enclosures should be checked that they fit properly, as well as gaskets and seals are in working condition. Walls and wall penetrations should be checked for cracks. If cracks are found, they should be sealed immediately. Levees and berms should be verified of excessive vegetation growth and cracks and leaks. If vegetation growth is found, they should be removed. If cracks and leaks are found, it should be repaired immediately. Benefits of an inspection maintenance plan include, but not limited to, lower insurance premiums and deductibles. Also, reduction in damage and disruption of operation during flooding and events.
Hello, my name is Sean Kuntz, and I'm going to discuss the minimum engineering considerations. The architect engineer must certify that the building is watertight. Watertight means floodwaters must not enter the building envelope. Floodproofing to less than 1 foot above base flood elevation or flood protection level will have serious negative impact on flood insurance rating for the building. Substantially impermeable walls shall not permit the accumulation of more than 4 inches of water during a 24-hour period if no device is provided for its removal. Sump pumps shall be required to control this seepage. Hydrostatic flood force is the force that water at rest exerts on any submerged object. We can see that on the vertical walls in the graphic with the blue arrows. For flood-proof building design, the calculations of hydrostatic flood forces must include saturated soil pressure on any portion of the building that is below grade. We can see that on the right side of the graphic with the basement. Another force we have is buoyancy. This is the vertical force associated with the building's tendency to float when inundated or surrounded by floodwaters. We have 2 additional forces we need to determine. One is hydrodynamic force. This is the force exerted on vertical surfaces exposed to moving floodwaters. The second additional force is debris impact force, which is shown in the graphic. This is the force associated with floodborne debris striking the side of a building. This force presents the greatest unknown to a designer, but we must estimate a value to develop an effective floodproofing design. Unless more detailed information is available, such as historical debris flow data, you assume a 1-second duration of impact. The weight of the object is generally estimated at 1,000 pounds, but this can be reduced to 500 pounds for an area subject to minor debris flow potential. Next, we have to prepare the floodproofing certificate. The first part is location and ownership information. Second part is the floodproofing design, including elevation reference to the datum. It is important to note that for insurance rating purposes, design protection to 1 foot above the base flood elevation to receive rating credit. If not, our premiums will be higher. Third, the actual certification of the floodproofing design as required in the NFIP regulations. The 2 things we'd like you to walk away from this presentation are proper planning and detailed design will ensure better safety and security, and your insurance premiums will be significantly lower. Thank you.